Hey writers, it's Megan Barnhart here in the Ultimate Writing Group, All Writers Welcome. And I wanted to open this time to anybody who might have questions, who is feeling stuck, who needs some encouragement or some suggestions. So if that's you, please put a comment down below and I would love to help you with whatever writing issues are keeping you stuck and help moving you forward, because then I get to procrastinate from the writing that I need to be doing, which is hilarious to me. Telling other people they should write more while I myself am not writing more. Although I'm so excited that my revisions for my latest book are really coming along well. And I was reading back through it last night and I was able to experience it as a reader instead of as the writer, instead of reading through and going, oh, I need to change that. I just was experiencing the emotions and it was so gratifying. And that's why we do this, right? I mean, we write to be able to give other people that experience. But when you read your own work and you get it and it comes across the way you hope other people will feel, it's just really gratifying. So that felt like a win. I thought one of the topics people might be interested in is how to plan. And I know there's a lot of contention about whether or not to plan. So that's another topic for another day, whether or not to plan. And really, I think that planning is so flexible. There isn't just one way to do it. So if you're somebody who says, oh, I never plan, and that works for you, that's fine. But if you're somebody who's looking for a way to plan, it doesn't have to be rigid. You can make this work in a lot of different ways. But I wanted to share something that I found really effective lately. And it's making a character mind map. And a mind map is really just where you fill up a piece of paper with a visual representation of how ideas are connected. And the kind of character mind map I did was to actually help figure out the conflicts of a story that is only the kernel of an idea for me right now. This is way, way off. But I kind of am starting to get a sense of the characters. So I was thinking about who are the people in this story and what's the conflict. And what I found really helpful was I put the dual protagonists, because I've got two, in the middle of my mind map. And then I started with a character above them and below them, which represented what's their objective, what are they trying to get to, and what's the conflict that's somebody pursuing them. So this is a story where there are conflicts arising both from what characters want and from what they don't want to have happen, right? There's a carrot and a stick. So you might have just one person or object that your character is moving toward. And then I started filling in satellite characters, and I want to show you what it ended up looking like, or it's a work in progress. So this is my big size mind map. But what it was really helpful for doing was figuring out plot points, because I started filling in satellite characters and I asked myself the question, well, why is this character there? Is this going to be a helper, an ally, or is this going to be somebody with whom the main characters have a conflict? And that simple question kept me honest about how I was adding in characters. And again, this is the beginning stages of an idea, but I'd highly recommend it to people who are wanting that first look at a story. And we got the comment, I have the hardest time with plot points. Okay, I've got a suggestion for that. But I think this is a really flexible, nice way to plan, especially because it involves big paper, it involves, or regular size paper, but it involves no lines, no typing, no complete sentences, just starting to map out who's going to be in my story and what important role will that person fill. All right, here's my suggestion for plot points. Imagine that the idea you're writing about is a river, and this works for fiction and nonfiction. And your outline is a series of stones in the river. And your process of drafting is you walking across the stones in the river. So with that visual, of course, you can see that the more stepping stones you have, the easier it will be to walk across the river, the easier it will be to draft. So if you're struggling with plot points, The first thing to do is get some landmarks, some really big stepping stones. And that I would recommend you achieve by telling your story out loud to a voice recorder, to somebody else, because then you will automatically include the major plot points. You'll get things like the inciting incident and the climax moment and the resolution. Once you have that structure to start with, create a table or a bullet point list where you start with where you are now and then where you want to get to next, what your next plot point is. And then ask yourself, how will you get there? And again, this works for fiction or nonfiction, because at every stage it's, well, then what? And it's, what's the next logical thing to talk about? Or it's, if that happens to the character in scene A, what will need to happen in scene B? And you keep moving closer and closer to the place you know you want to get to. How are you creating plot points with the character mind map? Oh, okay. So here, the mind map I was showing you is characters that I want to include. So this kind of starts as a creative way of, you know, saying these are people who could be in the story. But then once I know some of the people who are going to be in the story, my question is, why is this person in the story? So why is the couple who wants to adopt this one sister here? Because it's going to create a conflict and a tension. So actually you can see I've kind of color coded here, and I have, you know, is this person in conflict or struggle, or does this person have a shared objective, or can this person be an ally? So because I just started thinking about interesting characters to put, and then I looked at, well, how will these people relate? So there's going to be a street urchin who will be in conflict with them because he's going to try to get them to steal or something. This is at the very early stages. But I'm mapping out, if this person is in my story, then what's the action involved, right? Is there going to be a shared objective and an ally, or is there going to be a fight and a struggle there? So it's actually a way of exploring plot points too, by saying what could happen. And the reality is, this is like an experiment. When you make a mind map like that, you're not locking yourself in. This is not an outline. This is not a plan. This is not you saying, I'm definitely going to write about these things. This is you trying out ideas and seeing, do you like what comes of them? So I would recommend, especially for anybody who finds plotting to be onerous or to be the hardest part, start with something you do like. Do you like characters? Do you like different settings? Do you like symbolism? Start with an element that draws you, make a mind map of those things, and then look at how you might connect them. And the way you would connect would be plot points, because it would be points of conflict or points of getting help moving toward a goal. So that can be kind of a way to sneak into plot by means of something else that you enjoy more. And then once you get a feel for how you want things to go, you can fill in the gaps with those smaller stepping stones. All right. The other suggestion for people who go, you know, I really don't like planning, is to give up whatever notion you've inherited about planning, to make your own process. So if you feel like I don't like planning, I would say the first question to ask is, what's my definition of planning and where did I get it? Did you inherit writing definitions from other people? Are you feeling limited, like there's only one way to plan and I don't like it? I think it's definitely worth exploring what you, like what baggage you're bringing to writing, so that you get to ask, is there another way of doing it? Is it really the task I don't like, or is it this way of doing the task I don't like? And make it your own. All right. If there are other writing topics that you'd like to hear about when I do my Thursday evenings in this group, I'd love it if you put it in the comments so I could talk about things that are useful and helpful to you. And in the meantime, wish me luck with making the rest of my revisions on my current book. And as I move toward publishing, I'm so glad that we have this group of supportive and fantastic writers who are giving one another encouragement. It's really inspiring me to take my next steps in writing. So thanks again, everybody, for being here, and I will talk with you again soon. Bye bye.